Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, CCUK Resin, and this is a Happy Mail video, and it's genuinely made me really happy. So Terri Ryan, one of the members, has sent me some Happy Mail, and it's made me think what to do with it. So I've got this, which is like a goldfish bag mold, I think you call it. She sent me an insert as well, which is really cool. It's an inter-resin crystal insert. And then we've got some of this iridescent almost film, which I've already used actually in another piece, in the amethyst piece, which is coming out over the next few weeks. But I thought, what the heck am I going to do with this? It's a big mold. I'm hoping it's stable when it's filled, but it got me thinking. Whenever I've got spare resin, I try and make some cool little pieces. And I have made a little trio of seahorses using the tiny Turner pigments. And I thought, wouldn't they look cool in this fish bag? So then it got me thinking, I don't want these to just be at the top or at the bottom. What I want them to be is submerged about halfway. But I also don't want to have to do it in layers, because I think sometimes when you do it in layers, regardless of the resin, you still get that tiny little line, which is not what I wanted. So my plan is to try and build up a base that I can put in there first. Now, whether it's going to work or not, I don't know. I've never tried it. So I've got a standard flower mold, if you like, and that's what I'm going to be using to help build this sort of base. And I'm planning to do that with UV resin. So then there's going to be enough weight, hopefully, for me to just stick it in there and leave it to cure with the main resin. I've never tried this before. Again, it's going to be a big experiment, but I thought, let's give it a go and let's see what happens. So I'm going to be using the Apex UV resin for this, who are also the channel Live's new sponsors. So thank you very much for that, Apex. If you want a discount code, it is CCUK. Use that to get yourself some money off. And I've got these little black rocks, and I thought they're really cool as a base. So I'm going to pour some of those in here. Now, the problem is, we know, all of us hopefully know by now, UV resin and black don't go very well. So I'm going to mix in some of these iridescent glass, I think they're glass rocks, they call them, into this mixture as well. So hopefully when it's all mixed together, that'll bring some more colours into it and it'll allow the UV resin to just cure. And then we all like a bit of bling. So I'm going to add some of this gold, which is Gold Fusion from Laura's Art Corner as well. Not too much gold, though. I don't want it too blingy for this piece. Just a sprinkle. And this mix is hopefully going to create a base, what I can then attach the seahorses to. And then fill it pretty much with resin and then just plonk them in. I don't know if it's going to work. So I've never tried it before, but I thought, let's give it a go. And then I've got some of this ultra fine glitter just to bring everything together and hopefully bring it in with those tiny Turner powders a little bit. Again, not a lot, just a sprinkle. I don't want to get it on my mold, but it doesn't really matter. There we go. And that is what the mixture looks like before the resin. And this is what I'm hopefully, as I say, going to use to just build a bit of a base, what I can actually mount these seahorses onto, and then just fit it in the top of this mold. I might be crazy. It might not work, but we're going to try. So next step, I'm going to get some of this UV resin and just pour it in. Enough to create a paste. That's all I'm looking for at this point, is a nice paste. I think that'll be enough. And where I'm working is actually in bright sunlight, so it's probably not the best area to do it in, but you know, it might help it cure. So again, just mixing it all around, creating that thickened paste. And as you can see, that's making sort of a solid, clumpy, paste-like mixture. And I'm just hoping that there's enough room in there to still get some UV resin rays coming through and curing it. But we're only going to find out by doing it. So I'm looking at the shape of the mold, first of all, and I want to create a thin layer for that base. Reminds me of that song. It's all about the bass, no trouble. But there we go. Let's not go there with my singing. We know if you want singing, you've got to go to Tim's channel, Bass Resonator. He's a heck of a lot better than me. So here we go. Now I'm just going to try and get one of my scoops, because I think it's just going to be easier to scoop it up. And I'm going to try and initially follow kind of the shape of the surface of that mould. Oops, I didn't want that to happen. Kind of like this. And as I say, it's the first time I've tried anything like this. But those of you that watch the channel or watch any of the videos know I like to be a little bit creative sometimes and try things we've never done before. I'm loving the colours there. So I think that should fit in nicely. Again, just moving it around. It doesn't need to be exact. But again, I want it reasonably flat as well, so it gives it the best chance of curing before the next layer. Because don't forget, that light's going to have to penetrate through. And again, thanks Terri for sending this. I didn't expect it, but when I got it, it put a huge smile on my face. And if anybody wants to send me any happy mail, all you need to do, send me an email. The email address is in the description of every video. I'll send you my address and feel free to post it. And then hopefully we can put something together and do a video like this with whatever it is you send. And that's the really cool, interesting thing for me, is it makes me think about what I'm going to make with these pieces. And hopefully it allows me to be a little bit more creative. And come up with ideas that I wouldn't necessarily have thought of otherwise. There we go. Now I'm just trying to build it up, making almost a natural sort of rock-like aquatic structure, I suppose. The next layer is there. And I'm really hoping this works, because I'm loving the way that this looks right now. But let me know, do you think it's going to? I don't know. It's all going to get a proper cure under the lamp, don't worry. But at the minute, I'm just building up that shape. And I love doing this. It's what I call sort of free-form UV resin. And it's just creating whatever's in your head. That's the way I look at it. And now I'm just weighing up whether I can get away with not using a deep cure with this or not. Another blob on the center. And this is giving me roughly that shape I think I want. It's creating almost a bit of a mound, you know? And I don't want it to look completely perfect or natural. I want it to do its own thing a little bit. And look at this. I can't believe it's actually working, I think. So the UV resin is curing together beautifully. And now I'm just going to use the rest of this to just... Again, I've mixed it up, so I don't want to waste it. Just put a bit around the sides. I suppose even the shape up a little bit. And make sure I'm happy with the overall look. But at the minute, it's looking like it's working. And it's looking like hopefully it's going to fit. Come on, out you come. Into this mould. And it should, hopefully, work. A little bit more down this side, let's have. There, and that just looks like a natural, sparkly, glittery pile. A bit of sea unicorn poo. But I'm pretty happy with that. I think that'll be the perfect mound to give us enough clearance off that base, but still be able to mount the seahorses too. So now all I'm going to do is put this under my Let's Resin lamp for 5 minutes to make sure that the whole thing is cured. But this is what we're looking like at the minute, guys. Loving it, you know. So under my lamp, and it does fit in, thank God. Just going to give it a full 5 minutes. That way I know it's going to be cured, and then we'll be straight back. again, whilst you're here, guys, do me a favour. 82% of you do not subscribe to this channel. Please subscribe to the channel. There's a QR code there. Makes such a difference. And if you can, feel free to join memberships. It's a great way to continue supporting us. And if you like watching crazy experiments like this, that is what we do. And again, thank you very much, Terri, for sending this happy mail. It has made me very happy. And hopefully we're going to get a really cool effect, but I don't know yet at this point. We'll find out. And I'm hoping, because of this almost layered effect, this bit I can do with clear, this bit in colour, and it'll almost make a bit of a difference in that sort of bag design. But I'm worried when this is full, it might fall over. I hope it doesn't, but we'll see. So we're back, and I'm pretty happy. That has now cured. Will it fit? I'm hoping it just clings onto those edges. That is almost perfect. That is just, oh, and it does fit. Definitely goes in. So that's cool. Now what I might do, just because I want to make sure that that pretty much sits level with the rest, is I'm going to try a little trick here after I've mounted the seahorses to it. So let's get to mounting the seahorses to this. And I think I'm going to have Mummy Seahorse in the middle, and then the two babies either side. So here we go, dead straightforward. Again, using the Apex UV. And I've not overly trimmed this, I'll be honest. I could trim it up a little bit more, this mould, but I don't want to. I actually think they'll look more realistic like fins. So one drop there. Hopefully that will just allow me to attach Mummy Seahorse. Doesn't need to be massively attached, as long as it's attached. And it stands up. Please stay upright. Okay, it needs a dab more UV resin. You need enough to secure it in. And obviously the great thing with resin is it should go clear once it's covered in more resin. Come on, Mummy Seahorse, cure. Like that. Doesn't need to be ultra secure at this point, just to know that it will stand up. Like that. So that is Mummy Seahorse. Now I've got these two little cute little baby seahorses that I also want to attach. And I want them in slightly different angles. I'm going to have one down here. And I don't know if this is going to work or not. As I say, I've never tried it before. But I just thought it'd be fun. And a cool little experiment to see if we can get a seahorse bag rather than fish. Something a little bit different. So there's one baby on, pretty happy with that. And now the other baby I've got is facing the other way as well. So I'm going to have that on the other side. And I'm just hoping that all this will fit in once I'm done. One drop, and then put that there, and cure him in. And again, these were just made with some spare resin and those tiny Turner pigments. Here we go. I'm happy with that. So I'll show you in a second. I'm just curing it up a little bit more. And this is what's going to feature in this bag. So again, I'm being careful with it because it's not overly cured, but have a look at that. Yeah, I hope you can see that there. So we've got all of those, Mummy Seahorse, and then the two babies and that mound. And hopefully the whole thing will just fit in there. But what I am going to do is, just in case it doesn't, I'm going to secure with a toothpick either side just a little dab of UV resin. I can fix it afterwards if I need to, but that will just allow me to be confident that, worst case scenario, I can snap that off, cover the base in some black resin, but I know that it should hopefully fit in. Literally just a dab and a little tip on the end like that, and then I should be able to just twist that off. But it should be just enough to keep it submerged, hopefully. And I got this tip from Daniel Cooper actually when he does his pendants, so if you don't follow his channel, make sure you follow him. He is an amazing resin artist. And he often dips his pendants, and that's where I saw this being done. And I thought, you know what, it might just work for this. So again, just curing it up. It doesn't need to be too strong, as long as it's going to be enough to just hold it, which I think it will. And there we go. That is now ready, I think, to be completely submerged. Might just give it a drop more resin on the end. Like so. And on that one. That's a little bit too much, but hey ho. I don't want to risk it not working, but I should just be able to twist this out, and if I need to I can always cover that in a bit of black resin or another rock, but I don't think it'll be noticeable. And that is the finished product, ready to be submerged. Now I was thinking to myself, do I want to put glitter in the water or anything like that? And I don't, because I think it's going to take away from this, and I haven't got a clue how much this is going to hold. I'm guessing it's going to be at least 8 ounces looking at the depth of it. So what I've got to remember is this is probably going to displace at least 6 ounces. Not 6, sorry, 2. So I'm going to mix up 6 ounces first and then see how we go. You can see the idea. That sits perfectly on there. Just mixed up 6 ounces of resin. Just going to gently take this out now. And we're going to see what happens. Now this is the bit where I'm really nervous that it won't work. So, plan is, I just want to put a bit of the clear. I'm just using the Apex High Gloss as well for this. Into the end bit. And hopefully I can fill it just enough. You've probably got a better view than me at this point. So there we go. Happy with that. And then for the rest, I want it slightly coloured, but not too coloured. So, I've just got some alcohol ink, standard blue from Let's Resin. I think I'm going to add 3 drops. 1, 2, 3. That's enough. Then I'm going to give it a stir around. Hopefully that will just give it a really light blue colour is what I'm wanting here. Again, being careful, hopefully not to make too many bubbles. Now I've just put it through the debubbler. But as I say, I want this to be a really light colour, not too dark at all. And I think that's perfect. And then I decided glitter is life, so I need to add a bit of glitter. I'm going to add some Blueberry Sparkle from Laura's Art Corner and see, but again, just a tiny bit. And I've not used this like this, so I'm hoping it won't sink. And I think that'll be more than enough. And it's just to add something else to the piece. If it works. And obviously this is only going to be a one-sided piece because I didn't glue 2 of them together. But again, just going to mix that Blueberry Sparkle around it as well with the alcohol inks. And then we're going to see who's excited. I know I am. And I think that Blueberry Sparkle does add something to it. So I'm glad I added it now. And I think that's a beautiful colour now. And now I'm just going to almost fill it. Literally. And this is where I am going to find out if I've not mixed enough. And I can see some bubbles forming because of the way I'm pouring it. The way to avoid that would be to use a stick. Yeah, that's not going to be enough. I'm going to need, I'm guessing, that's 6 ounces, probably another 3. So I'm going to do it in the same cup and just mix it up, and I'll be right back. I want to do it before this starts to set though. So we're back. Mixed up, as I say, another 3 ounces of that same, well, hopefully a similar colour anyway. And I've not added any more glitter to this layer, because actually if there's a little bit less glitter in this layer, I don't mind, because this should all be about the seahorses. But what I am going to do to try and help prevent any bubbles is just try and pour some of this resin, just using a paintbrush, over them. And that should help just to prevent any excess bubbles, because the last thing I want is a load of bubbles attaching. I don't mind a few, as I say, because I think that's only going to be natural, like they were in the sea, but I don't want too many. So I'm just going to paint the whole thing with a tiny bit of this resin, so that hopefully it prevents any bubbles sticking to these babies or the mum, and we get a cool piece. I don't know, let me know what you think's going to happen. At this point, anything could happen, and most probably will. But as I say, if you are liking the content as well, guys, do me a favour, just like and subscribe to the channel. It does make a huge difference, helps us grow. And again, if you like these crazy experiments, do me a favour, join memberships, you know, for the price of a coffee. It's a great way to support the channel. It means I can keep experimenting with new techniques, new products, and hopefully we all grow and learn together. That is the aim of the channel. So again, just doing the backs as well. And just by painting it, it should hopefully encourage less bubbles to want to sort of attach to these. Because I don't mind the odd bubble in there looking like water. I think that will look very natural. But I don't want bubbles all over these, because I don't think that will look too natural. As you can see, I'm just being quite liberal with it and making sure it's covered. You will get messy when you do this, guys, but who doesn't like a bit of mess when you play with resin? I'm pretty happy that most of that is now covered in resin. So I don't know how much this is actually going to take now, so I'm going to add a bit more, probably to about halfway. And there's a couple of bubbles there. I'm going to give it a second for them to just rise up to the top, which they are doing, and get them with my torch. Bye bye bubbles. And I say, I really don't mind if I get a couple in there, because I think it will just add to the effect. No, oh, don't break. Oh no, I've just broke one of the seahorses off. Okay, let's not panic. Things do go wrong in resin. We can fix it. Hopefully. Right, give me a blob of UV resin, quick, because the rest of the resin is dripping everywhere at the minute, and that's just because I obviously hadn't attached it quite enough. So here we go. I'm just going to reattach this one, hopefully, and I've done this before in resin, and it has cured, surprisingly. How am I going to do this? Okay, let's just go for it with my fingers. Now, where did I put that resin? I think I put it there. Okay. That was not the wisest way to do it. So I'm just going to put him on his side. Here we go. Because I need to see where the resin actually is. There. Now I know I've got a lump there. And I'm going to have to clean my workstation after this, 100%. Now the problem is it's quite wet. So the resin clearly doesn't want to cure. I'm going to have to force it though a little bit. And as I say, I'm just hoping that this will go see-through when it goes in the main resin. But it's just because I knocked him off a little bit, and I hope it doesn't ruin the overall effect. There. Hopefully that'll be okay now. So without knocking him off this time, let's put her in. Okay, and if you can see, I can still pour around the sides. Which is what I'm trying to do, to just completely fill it. Oops, and I don't mind it tilting a little, but I still want it reasonably straight. Just trying to get it in the gap. I might need some more, you know. I think I'm still going to be a tiny bit short. About an ounce short. Can you believe it? Oh! Right, I'm going to mix up another ounce. Again, just trying to position it exactly where I want. And I do want it to just, I suppose, be inside that lip a little. Like that. Beautiful. But yeah, I'm going to mix up one more ounce, then pour it in. I'm not going to bore you with that. We're just going to come back and demold tomorrow. So here we go, guys. I've mixed up just over an ounce and a half. That should be hopefully enough. So I'm just going to carry on pouring it in. And then as you can see, it's at a bit of an angle, which I'm not liking at the minute. So I'm going to fix that in a second. I just want to make sure that it's completely filled. And if I haven't mixed it right this time, I'm going to be fuming. So I think normally it's probably an 11-12 ounce mould, going by the amount of resin that I've used. There we go. So that is pretty much at the top. Now all I'm going to do is pray I don't knock it over. And then I'm just going to have a look at it when it's straight. The minute it's not fully straight, but I've got an idea for that. So it can probably fit a drop more in. Literally only a drop. And here we go, guys. And it's time to demold. So luckily that's come straight off. And I could probably fill this up a tiny bit more. I'm just having a look now. And there's a little tiny gap in there. But I don't think I will, in case this toothpick leaves a bit too much wood. So I'm just going to take those out. There we go. They're out now. And then we're going to continue. So it's looking good. There's a tiny gap there, but I think I can live with that for now. And if needs be, I can top this little gap up with some UV. In fact, I might just do that anyway, because I do want it to be full. So there's a risk here. I can feel where the resin comes to. So I am going to use some UV to just fully top this up, I think. Now I've pulled those toothpicks out. For the sake of 2-minute job, I don't want to ruin the piece. So again, just going to fill it up with some UV resin. So getting gloved up, as always, and respirator on, you know. You don't want to be breathing in fumes. So here we go. And I think there's enough of a gap there for me to just get that tiny layer in. And if it's clear, it's clear. I don't think it'll matter. I mean, I could colour tone it so it's exactly the same. And all it is that tiny little lip. And I think I want to fill it. So, again, just going to get the Apex UV resin. And I've decided I am going to colour match it. So just going to get one of my cups, pour in some UV resin. Again, I don't know how much I'm going to need, but I'm going to need quite a bit, I think, just to fill that gap. But I think these extra little touches are what make your pieces complete, you know, and it should save me some cleanup after, hopefully. So there we go. That should be enough. Now I'm just going to get 1 drop of the blue alcohol ink. Give you a better look. And this should just get it to similar colour. There we go. 2 went in, but it should be okay. And then just mixing it round. Now there is a risk that we'll get a different tone here, but as I say, I just wanted to completely fill it. And at the minute I can just see that gap. So here we go. And just bending the cup. And I'm just going to pour it in that gap. Hopefully filling it up all the way. all the way around, so I've not got that lip. And as I say, if I get some tiny bubbles in this, I actually don't mind, because I think it'll just add to that ocean effect. But I don't want any gaps. I can see one here. And I think had I not have done this, I would have regretted it. So again, just going around, completely filling it, so that little lip isn't there. There we go. And then I'm going to put a little tiny bit on the surface as well, just encasing it in the UV. And I know it's not going to be perfectly even, but it just fills in those gaps for me, and I think it'll make it look a little bit more natural. Here we go. And I think it's sliding over the edge, which is not what I wanted. But until it's set, the great thing with UV resin, you can just wipe it off. So again, I'm just going to wipe off that edge, and a little bit too much there. And I think we're good to go. So now I'm just going to cure it initially with my torch. I'm just going to add a tiny bit on this edge here, just to make it even. There we go. And then one drop in here. There. And that should now be completely cured once this is cured. And then we're going to demold. And hopefully this is going to be a really cool piece after all of this effort. And obviously thank you, Terri, for sending it through. Wouldn't have had the inspiration to try this piece without you sending me this happy mail. And that is one of the things I love about happy mail. It just makes you think, it makes you be a bit more creative about what you do with the pieces that you receive. So I'm just going to do the tap test. That's cured. But again, just to give it 5 more seconds, and then we can demold. Beautifully cured. And I'm just hoping after all this effort, we've got a nice piece. So are you ready for this, guys? I don't think I am. I've just cured it over as well. So this is going to be fun. Just going to be gentle, trying to demold right around the edge, which I've done. And again, around this edge now. It's just a case of getting that edge, sliding it around, so that we get that almost a little air pocket like we have done this side. So here we go. And then I want to try and fold it over, just because for me that'll make it easier to demold the whole thing, he says. Here we go. So, and I don't think that UV had fully cured at this point, but I'm going to get a cloth and just wipe it, in fact. So parts of the UV had cured on the top, parts hadn't fully cured. So I'm just going to wipe it round. And then I'm going to give it one more blast with that torch, just to make sure it has fully cured. I think it has. Again, I just want to be ultra certain here. And again, with this base, I can probably do something with it anyway. I'm thinking about, I could even chop a layer off. Feels like there's water leaking, but it's not. It's just a tiny bit of uncured resin. So just to give you guys a bit of an update, all I did is wiped it down with a little bit of alcohol, and now it's crystal clear. And here we go. Absolutely stunning. Got this family of seahorses in that fish bag, and I think it's come out great. But let me know what you think in comments.